So I'm Curtis Shealy, and I work for the NRCS here, cover the 3 counties in the Tri-Basin NRD, and work mostly with the farmers with irrigation and keying more on nitrogen lately.
I'm Pat Knott. I'm with the Tri-Basin NRD out of Holdridge here. We cover Gosper, Phelps, Kearney counties. I'm a water technician, so we do water sampling and groundwater measuring and chemication inspections and all that stuff. So looking at water usage and nitrogen management. So
I'm Chris Eklund, and I'm a farm north of town here, and that's basically how I do.
Rick Reitz, independent agronomist, crop consultant from Kearney.
I'm Logan Reed. I farm north of Holdridge also.
I'm Reed Phillips. I farm between Bertrand and Loomis, irrigated corn and beans, and we feed some cattle.
You guys have been in it, is this your 6th year? Did you start when SDI?
Fifth.
5th year?
Yep. Well, the first year, I think I was watching it, and probably Curtis was too, and we thought it'd be really fun if we could get in on this TAPS thing. And so Tri-Basin used to sponsor a local farmer for the competition, and that guy got too busy. I think he took a different job, and so I thought, that's great, maybe we can get in and do this. And then TAPS will say, well, no, it's a farmer competition. And so we said, well, what if we get some local farmers and put a team together? And so that's kind of how we got started doing it. So I've just been using it as a learning opportunity, I guess, as far as what we can do for managing nitrogen and water.
Perfect. And then you've recruited the rest of the table, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I
Told, right?
Rick's been here since the beginning.
Rick's been here since the beginning. Rick is a crop consultant in our area, and he is active in our crop consultant meetings.
Actually, these guys aren't taking enough credit for the way it got started. Curtis and Pat, the Tri-Basin, have informational meetings in spring and in the fall to inform area crop consultants and other industry people about the opportunities through their agencies. And we had a presentation at one of the meetings, which got me excited about it. And that's how all this got started. So these guys need to take a little bit more credit for how it got going. It was their meetings that informed me of it and got other people involved.
As a group, you get more input. We don't, myself, don't know everything about any, I don't farm, so it's nice to get input on all the aspects of it. The hybrids I don't know a lot about, and the irrigation and the nitrogen, kind of know a little more about that. The profitability side, marketing, I still don't know much about it. I'm just kind of go with the flow on that one pretty much. But it's nice to sit here at the beginning of the year, and we're going to go through our nitrogen plan and then get everybody's input in the hybrids and the population. And so doing it yourself, you're kind of just out on your own, and we want to win.
In our NRD, we do nitrate tests, deeps and shallows, and so it's, this all kind of ties in with what we do with our NRD, and I don't necessarily do a lot of fertigating myself, but I'm learning from this, so I find that part of it interesting. But maybe I can start doing that someday. And the marketing side, I have to deal with that every day, so it's fun to watch these other guys, kind of suffer through it. If you make a bad decision, well, then you got to live with it. So that's how it works.
Yeah, definitely on the efficiency side thing. We're not just dumping as much nitrogen on as we can and push the populations way up. Every year we try to go about as low as we can on population, as low as we can on nitrogen, come up with the best hybrid, and then these guys do a really good job of watching the water for us, because that's their cup of tea. And that's definitely what we strive for, is efficiency. And then if we happen to do good in the other ones, we do.
Well, I don't farm, but I grew up on a farm. I know things about farming, I guess. But to make the day-to-day decisions, I don't. And working for the NRCS, you try to promote it, but you kind of got to have some kind of knowledge or understanding of what's going on. And and so this program has been the most beneficial for me ever. I get to feel like I make some farming decisions and do some comparisons, and I feel like now I have a confidence level and maybe a background base of what we've done, and I can now talk to farmers about it and feel comfortable with that. It is to me, it's just a great program, and for this, yeah.
And you use a lot of the data in.
I do use the data for, we do, Pat and I will compare where the similar hybrids for people, teams choose the same hybrids, and we'll compare their nitrogen and water, and we present that at meetings in the spring, and hopefully get some buyers and takers that maybe we can cut back, or maybe we're doing a good job or whatever, but they can see that. And yeah, it's been real beneficial for me in my job, and I just love it.
Good.
I'm in a similar boat to Curtis, I guess. I'm not a farmer. I grew up on a small farm, but I didn't know anything really besides just doing work, whatever Dad said. So, yeah, it's been good for me to learn about things I didn't know about, insurance and marketing and that kind of stuff. And then, yeah, we use the information in our nitrogen management classes we teach in the winter and the spring. I like to talk about farmers with this TAPS competition, so I do chemigation inspections with farmers all summer, and I drive around and truck with them, and it's something I like to talk to them about. So talk about what we did and what they're doing, and hybrids, and what we use for water and nitrogen, and what our yields look like. And see if we can figure out what the corn price is going to do and all that stuff. So it's been fun.
Farmer, I guess, the most interesting part is probably the nitrogen and water management for me, because like Reed was saying, we market, have to pay attention to the markets every day, so we kind of are doing that with our own crops. So when these guys ask for marketing decisions, we all share what we are thinking or doing, and they're normally probably wrong, but but the nitrogen stuff, you definitely could be useful on your own farm. Just pay attention, like how much we need to put on, or how much water that we could maybe cut. But I'm interested this year doing sprinkler for the first time in our group, because I think it's going to be a little different animal than the subsurface and drip on fertigation and everything. We fertigate on our farm, but we don't have much drip, and we definitely don't fertigate through drip. So I think it could be different on maybe what we see for results compared to the drip. Maybe not, maybe it'll be the same, but it'll be more comparable to what I'm actually farming, so to make decisions on your own farm.
So how did you land in the SDI competition first, just because that was a spot, or did you, so yeah, okay. I didn't know if that was where you chose to be, or if that's where you landed.
That's where we landed.
Okay.
And then we've been talking about the last couple of years switching to sprinkler, and we just finally did, I guess. Yeah. So it'll be interesting.
I guess I would say that the exciting part of it for me is the technology and what we have access to. There's a lot of aspects to this whole program where we have access to the technology. In addition to that, we have access to the experts through the extension service. It's fun to go to the outcome meetings and learn who was successful and who wasn't, why they were successful, why they weren't. Matt does a good job in the profitability part of it and points out some of the things that we should be looking and focusing on. But back to what I said originally, I think what excites me the most is the technology, and then I like to observe what the producers feel is exciting about the technology. The water sensors have been huge, and I think that has been what we've leaned on the most as far as water usage goes. So again, technology is what excites me the most about this.
I guess for me, whether you're a professional or a farmer or whoever, if you want to stay successful, you need to continuously be learning. So that's what this, competition does, I guess for me, is it provides that opportunity, because there's not a lot of things like this out there, to my knowledge. But like Chris said, the nitrogen and the irrigation of water, and then the timing of different things too. There's a million different variables that go into, farming every single season. And this just helps kind of corral those different variables, and you try to get different correlations of what works and what doesn't work. And it just provides a lot of information, and information is good.
Well, for me, it's irrigation. I mean, I've implemented in my own farm, putting sensors out. I've done that off and on for 10 years, 8 years. And that's interesting to watch, that, sometimes in a wet year, we water way too much. In a dry year, we don't water near enough. But so to sit and watch them grasp, but then it's also taught me that you can't always depend on technology. You need to go out and take a test now and then, because there was a year that certain sensors didn't, work correctly, that, if we would have followed, we may have shorted our crop. So, keep you vigilant on, double check things. So I guess that's what I've learned.
And you guys have been through wet years and dry years in taps too, so I'm sure you've learned even more from that, so.
Yeah, the biggest, to add, the soil moisture sensors on the drip has been interesting, and watching producers who've shared their information or their passwords, I guess, to allow me to watch their sensors on pivots is, it is different. And I know on the drip, sometimes the sensors get too far apart, and that's a challenge. So it'll be, we're looking forward to the pivot.